by my lifestyle brand, Refresh by KF, where we believe Proverbs that says, he who refreshes others will be refreshed. So we hope to refresh you with these conversations, with the themes, and with the platform. So this month, our theme is power of words, the power of words. And again, I wanted to speak with Kimberly and Black Girls Coding because that's a different type of language, but it's incredibly impactful. And so we are grateful that she was able to drop by. Next up on the chat, we have the author, the New York Times bestseller, award-winning author, Susan Verde. Her latest book is I Am One. She is a phenomenal writer. We love her books. She's just, I'm just going to get her in. Wait a minute, Susan, where'd you go? Hold on one second. Let me get her in here. And then we will have the one and only Erica Strong, who is a wonderful life coach and author. But right now, entering the building. There you are.
Hello.
Hey, girl, how are
Oh
you?
my gosh, I am okay. It is just so nice to see your face and have this little connection. It's been
Yes,
too long. It's just,
it
oh my
has been.
gosh.
It has been.
Yes.
So, guys, a
Thank you.
quick,
Thank you.
oh, absolutely. Thank you. So, a quick backstory to how Susan
Yes.
and I met. We met in the great city of New Orleans. Or Nolans. We
New
were both
Orleans.
there for our book tour when my book, my autobiography, Blessed Life, was debuting, dropping, whatever you want to call it, was being published.
Either one.
And and Susan was there promoting her newest book at the time. She's had so many wonderful ones since then, but we were at a table side by side, and I loved the artwork. Again, this is her latest book, but her theme, her message, and just everything that she is about in terms of children and families. So I'm just so excited to see you. So
I'm
welcome.
excited too. Thank you. Thank you. No, I felt at that moment actually there was such synergy. You are such a family oriented person. You can see it in your children and your husband in the way that you are. And, I just felt like there was this instant connection, which
Mhm.
was so lovely and so rare and so wonderful. So it was really good. I just want to take a minute to pass on, because I know it's a rough time, and pass on my condolences, certainly about Chadwick and
Yes.
you and everyone affected by his life and his work and all of that. I feel like 2020 is just, it keeps bringing it, and it needs to
Yeah.
slow down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
I
We
just,
we
I
all
know there's a lot
received
of
that.
heartache, so
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
thank
want to
you
pass
for
that
that.
on.
I hate to kind of start into speaking of heartache, but the truth of the matter is that's where so much of what's happening, that word is such a cornerstone of our narrative right now. And so for you, when you write these wonderful books, especially right now, what is the message? What are the ideas to kind of pour into children during this time?
Well, I think, the themes have always been there. The messages have always been important, but they just
Hmm.
seem to be getting more and more important with the times as they get more challenging.
Yeah, good point.
But when I write my books for children, I was an elementary school teacher for many years. I'm a single mom of three. I love kids. I connect. I think probably I never have really grown up, so that helps too. But I feel like it's so important for kids to feel seen. Like you and Kimberly were talking about feeling
Hmm.
seen, feeling
Hmm.
heard, feeling represented, feeling empowered. So many times I think kids, life just comes at them and they don't feel a sense of agency. And so I want them to know they have everything inside. They just need to know how to access those tools, and they have
Mm.
voices, they have strength, they have things. I mean, they're going to be the ones who save us from all this mess. So,
Yeah.
it's really important that they just know that and learn to understand that loving yourself is not only acceptable but imperative. So
Hmm.
that's kind of what I'm trying to share. with
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, I love that you positioned it that way, that you know the children, that they have it inside of them. It's finding how to access that.
Right.
As a parent, I find that it's really important. And again, guys, we're talking about the power of words. And so last week, the wonderful writer, director, showrunner, Prentice Penny from HBO's Insecure and the Netflix film, I know,
Big
right? And
fan
the Netflix
fangirling right now. Sorry.
and the Netflix film Uncorked. So Prentice was here last week, and Prentice said, I said, you know, what is a word that you can kind of give us as where you are right now? And he said, listen would be his word. And so that was my takeaway, big time. And infusing that into who I am as a parent. Listen to your children. It's not just about
Yes.
dictating
No.
and regurgitating rules and policies and laws that you grew up with, and that, you know, yeah, there's tradition, and then there's just right and wrong and home training. I'm not
Right.
talking about
Right.
that. But I mean, listen to your children, listen to their heart, listen to their feelings, let them know they matter. Is that a part of the process, would you say, Susan, in terms of letting them know how to access the tools inside?
Absolutely. I mean, if you don't feel heard, you don't know that what you feel, what you have inside of you is valid because nobody's listening. I think the tendency, and for all of us, I mean, I do it too, is to kind of project our own fears onto our kids in a moment of crisis or challenge when
Mm-hmm.
really if we can just take that moment to step back and hear them and really
Mm-hmm.
listen,
Yeah.
meaning, you know, don't interject, don't interrupt, just hear, just
Mm-hmm.
listen, you know,
Mm-hmm.
look at them and know, let them know that whatever, a lot of times they either make an incredibly valid, deep point,
Honey,
right?
yes, yes.
And often they put us in check,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever it is that they're going through and experiencing is much bigger than reality. So if you're listening, you can help them with their own fears because you
Yeah.
can reassure them that you know that's not really the reality and here's what's happening. It's not, you know, my daughter who's now 15, I'm during the beginning of the pandemic, there was a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the world's going to end, everything's falling apart, everyone's
Yes.
dying, everyone. And
Yeah.
although it definitely feels that way, in hearing her fears, I was able to then help kind of calm them down and talk about it and put it in a real framework. So listening, yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's a word for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about wellness a little bit, because not only are you this amazing children's author, award-winning children's author, but you also are a huge proponent in the wellness space for families, for young people, for kids. How important, I know it's important. I hate when people ask questions and you know the answer. Come on, Kim, you could do better than that. Um, how do we tap into and further our understanding of wellness in this moment as it relates to kids?
So first of all, for as parents or as people around kids, we have to remember that we need to take care of us because if we are falling apart, the kids around us are attuning to our moods, to our
Yes,
anxiety,
Lord,
right?
yes.
And we're
Yes.
human, so it's going to happen there, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but again, it's this sort of conversation that you can have with your kids even at the youngest age, like I'm having a moment, I need to take a breath.
Right.
but
Mm-hmm.
but wellness, self-care, forgiveness of self, patience with self, it's all so important, and you as an adult get to be the model for your kids, especially
Mm-hmm.
in this moment. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there I get
Hmm.
overwhelmed with anxiety in terms of what's going on. In fact, the other day I said to my son, I'm like, I feel like the whole world just needs to stop for a
Mm-hmm.
minute and
Mm-hmm.
take a breath, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
um, but wellness, we've got to keep it, we've got to keep it up, and that doesn't mean, certainly now when, you know, a lot of us are suffering financially and don't feel like we have the luxury of wellness, it doesn't mean, you know, taking a bubble bath for 3 hours or ordering
Right.
something online. And, you know, all it means is knowing when you need to stop and take a breath. knowing
Mm-hmm.
when you need to say a kind word to yourself, um, and then modeling
Oh,
all of that for your kids. You know,
yeah.
communicating all of that to you. They see you. They know you're anxious. They know you're upset. So if you
Yes,
can
yes.
be open and honest with them, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a tough time. Here's what
Yeah.
I'm doing for me. How about we do it together? I think
Yes.
that can really help us collectively.
When we include them, meaning children, when we include children into our spaces, that matters, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah,
That
absolutely.
matters. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because
Mm-hmm.
they're so smart, they see it anyway, they feel it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And you're a human, I'm a human. Why not include them in that human experience so
Mm-hmm.
they understand that it's okay? And then there are
Mm-hmm.
ways that we can help take care of each other and take care of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. I think including them is so important.
Let's talk about the new book.
Oh, I've
I am
got it right
one.
here. Ooh, my author's copy's just arrived today, so I'm so excited. My But then I'm
What?
like, I wish I could read it
Yeah.
out loud, but I'm not allowed to read it out loud
No,
yet.
no, no, not at all, not at all.
I
But
know, right?
what I've always loved about your books is the simplicity of them, and yet they're very smart. Your character or characters are always very smart, and so full of compassion, and curiosity and wonder. Um, it seems like those are almost like cornerstones for children's book writing.
I think, uh, in talking about words, first of all, when you're writing a picture book in particular, you have to be really incredibly thoughtful about the words you choose because you only have so many you're allowed to use, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, but at least the way I see it, and most of the picture book authors I know see it, is that we don't see sort of the distinction between what a kid is capable of understanding and what somebody else, maybe older, is capable of understanding. They are capable of understanding these big themes, these big messages like
Yeah.
empathy and compassion. It's
Mm-hmm.
just the words that we use have to kind of, it's not dumbing it down, it's just being succinct,
Right.
and thoughtful. And it's really the
Uh-huh.
way we should all communicate to each other,
Yeah.
regardless of age.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do feel like we need to give kids probably more credit. And if there are concepts, it's typically parents or a caregiver who are reading these things with a child. So if there's something that a child doesn't understand, well, what an amazing opportunity for conversation about it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of finding that mix between what they really grasp and then what might challenge them to ask more questions and
Mm-hmm.
have that
Mm-hmm.
engagement.
Yeah. Um, some of Susan's other books, guys: I Am Yoga, I Am Peace, I Am Human, I Am Love. Quincy's favorite book. Um,
Quincy.
I don't, oh my, Quincy loves Susan.
Oh my gosh. I love him too. It's mutual. It's mutual. I can't believe how big your children are getting.
Listen, oh my goodness.
I
Yes, he
can't
is
take
getting
it.
so big. Yeah. But Quincy's favorite book, and I don't want to get the title wrong. Not you and me.
You and
Wait,
me.
it
It's
is
you
you
and
and
me.
me.
Yeah.
Yes,
You and
you
me.
and me. Oh, it's a wonderful book about friendship, and that is one of his favorite books.
That
When
child, I'm going to send him everything so he can review, critique. I mean, I should probably send it to him before I send it to my editor, really, so he can just give me some good
listen, he will
feedback.
tell you. He
I'm
will
serious.
let you know.
I
When does
love
this
that
one
he
come
loved
out?
that book.
Oh, that is his favorite. When does this one come out?
So that one comes out September 15th. It's
Okay.
available now for pre-order, which is always really helpful, especially in these
Yes.
challenging times where we're not able to
Mm-hmm.
do our in-person book
Book
tours and
tours and the
things like
book
that.
signings. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's all kind of kooky. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's available sort of everywhere right now for
Mm-hmm.
pre-order, and it'll be out in the world September 15th. And I hope it inspires people to continue to take action and know
Mm-hmm.
that they, as one person, can make such a big difference.
Yeah. You know what, real fast about taking action. You and I have been developing this event that we're going to be doing at some point to
Someday.
inspire and encourage kids and families who have writers in or budding and aspiring writers and storytellers in the family. During this, some version of this continuous quarantine and lockdown and just these new norms, and kids finding new ways to stay engaged, to stay stimulated, their families and teachers, parents, and all that. What would be a suggestion in terms of how to, nurture the creative in kids if they are a budding writer or want to write their own books? And I was looking on my computer, and some programs that even just come with the computers now are what do you call it, where they have like a book template where
Oh
you
yeah, and you
can
can
write your
create
own
your own.
books, you can e-publish, you can. So it's really a new day in terms of making that process accessible.
Yes,
But first, you have to get it on the page from here to there.
right.
What would you say to parents who feel like they want to encourage that in their kids or even for themselves? Like you
I
said,
mean,
you were a teacher first.
yeah, yes, yes. So I mean, if you have access to online, to computers, to technology, there are a million programs. There are ways to publish. There are even my illustrator, Peter Reynolds. He does sort of he has a thing where you can publish your own books. There are lots of workshops and all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of classes, even for the youngest of kids. So that's one thing you can do. You can Google. Otherwise, start by verbally telling the stories. And then if your child's not really writing yet, you write them down, record them on your phone. Just give
That's right.
lots of opportunities and prompts
Yes.
as you're walking in nature, as you're listening to a conversation, little
Mm-hmm.
prompts to get them
Mm-hmm.
thinking that way and starting to
Yeah.
tell stories. So you don't need a lot of materials. You just need, again, someone to listen,
Mm-hmm.
and help sort of encourage that creativity. If you have paper, markers, anything around, just
Yes.
use it. Make a
Yes.
mess. Don't
Yes.
worry. And one other thing I always say in terms of doing the writing and sort of my process, don't worry about structure, spelling, paragraphs, any of that. Just
Mm-hmm.
get it out. Get it
Yeah.
all out. Then you can go
Yeah.
back and make changes and do all that, which is really fun. But just
Mm-hmm.
get it out. Don't feel restricted or that there are rules to follow. Just do what's in your
Yeah.
heart and just get it out there.
Yes.
For
Yes. Yes.
sure.
You are so spot on with that. We seem to have gotten away from bedtime stories. Nowadays, and especially again in this whole crazy sense of lack of schedule and things.
Oh yeah.
So we've gotten away from one of our other author friends, Nicole Burnham, who was on last week. She says, always okay to make mistakes. You
Oh
can edit
yes.
later. Yes,
Later,
just,
later.
yeah. One of my writing partners, Rhonda Baraka, who she and I are working on a project right now. She directed You Light Up My Christmas. And she says her first one she calls like the vomit draft. It's just like,
Yes,
just get it all
it
on the
is. It's the
page,
vomit draft.
and
And then
then
you
you
can
go
clean it
back.
up a little bit
Yeah,
later.
exactly. But guys, getting back to bedtime stories, we want to make sure that we don't forget about that tradition.
Agreed.
That we understand that you can tell stories, whether you're reading a bedtime story or making up a bedtime story. A lot of times I'll make up a story and then have the kids make it up with me. And then what does Prince Quincy say? And then Prince Quincy
Prince
jumps
Quincy.
on and then he'll say his part, and then I'll pick it back up. And it's another way to engage. It's another way to interact and stimulate and be present. I am guilty of multitasking.
Of course, yeah.
So like we all are, and it's
Yeah.
like yeah, Mom, can I have peanut butter and jelly? Sure. And I'm making it and I'm on my
Yeah.
phone and I'm on this
Yes.
and I'm amazed at how much it means to them when we give them all of our attention. And a little bit goes a long way.
Yes. I think it goes, sort of full circle back to the listening, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the listening, it's the paying attention, it's the being engaged. But because there's so much going on, and we as adults are feeling very stressed and challenged by a lot of it. It's hard to recreate or stick to those rituals or habits. But instead of berating yourself for that, do what you can. If it's
Hmm.
one night a week, if it's 1 hour,
Yeah.
it all counts. None of it, there's
Yes.
no wrong. So,
Yes.
but just that time,
Hmm.
it's part of wellness, taking care of
Mm.
you and your family. And being kind to yourself about it. If I can only read with my kids for 45 minutes in a week, then that 45 minutes is sacred. And that's it,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
So.
Yes. Oh, thank you, my friend.
Oh, thank you for
Thank
having me
you.
on. I've seen your
Thank
face.
you.
I just want to give you a hug
Sending
someday
you
in the
virtual
world.
hugs and kisses.
I
Thank you,
know.
honey. Thank you,
Thank
girl.
you. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. All right. September 15th is
Yes.
Susan's book drop. And in the meantime, again, you can order it online. You can visit her on her page at Susan Verde. And of course, Refresh, who is sponsoring these chats. Refresh will have all of the links and everything that you need to stay connected to all of our guests.